You think all of them foolish? Some of them are well-trained fellows in terms of the academics. They have GCs, they sort of go to universities and all that. But they choose a certain lifestyle. And they think they give the police trouble. You watch them go into business. Look at our business, one business they have on the street here. You notice how they're showing us on camera. About 10 or something people you can count on almost as they're raiding the poor Chinese. I know what's happening. Like all the people came from another country because nobody in Trinidad know where these aliens came from to rob the Chinese. You see that? Choices. But if the Chinese had killed one, you would have here forever. The Chinese killed somebody, the Chinese killed somebody. But everybody read the Chinese. Now they are ready Baptist church now. In my time, early days, they still hear does women. Oh, you come and see a dozen from our church. But it's still there. I went upstairs, we had some Chinese, two Chinese here. Them Chinese pour like I never see Chinese courses. They lie on some pallets with some cardboard on it upstairs. Somebody came in here. Go and all the chopsticks will have all on the ground. The Chinese had nothing. When I came in, the Chinese showed me. Nothing. So when my wife came to the class, came down here, the place is quiet. But she knows the Chinese are inside here. So when they recognize her voice, they open up. Because we are keeping them for a little while for Reverend Chong. Shining arm with chopper and all kinds of things. I know they're very quiet. I said, thank God. You know why? They might have killed somebody inside here. And next thing you know, Baptist minister in trouble, having to go and answer court, how I get these Chinese here, and all these things. And all the minister asked me for, Pastor Gil, could you keep these two Chinese here? Well, he's Chinese. We Chinese come in here lunchtime. Could you keep them here for just 2 months? I said, sure. One Chinese was repairing the organ, he was good at that. You know what Chinese talked to me when he said, I'm from Hong Kong, he told me. He said, I live on such floor. He said, we have business going wrong. He said, these Chinese Trinidad, like the advantage Chinese are going to Hong Kong. I said, no. He said, we're going back to Hong Kong. He said, but I was studying in Hong Kong and come back here and run a business one day. I said, you hear what he said? Talk English fluent. And he knows what he's about. And he told me that they come advantage you. You see, you have choices. You can have choices to take advantage of them. A lot of us have privilege. You're going to be in privileged positions. People come to you for different things. And you could be, you're acting like you're helping. But in reality, you don't really want to help them. You want to more distress them than help them. But you act like you help. And this life in Christ is not an acting life. It's a real life. So therefore, the right choices must be made. Because we'll come to that point where we all have to give an account. God's will to our lives doesn't reveal everything one time. It's portions, like He reveals some at a time. As you go along, you get more and more and more as you go along. But we are encouraged all the time to make the right choice. We consider our own desires, our own interests. Yet we have what God's placed before us. The instructions are follow God. Follow God. That's what we have to do. We must be motivated all the time by making choices, the right choices, the right way. A lot of children come from churches, go to school, go to other places, and people ask them, "Do you go to church?" Why didn't they ask that question? Because they will expect from those of us who come into churches a sort of behavior that is a little better than some of the others who are going to church as well. And they not only ask children that, they ask people that. Use a church person, and so you get to know. because they expect of us to behave a little differently from others. When we belong to Christ, there is a way that Christ will put us to deal with people. Everybody that come to us and they can't even control themselves, they can hardly even speak. You can't get angry with everybody. You have to wait, listen to them, wait till they regain some composure and talk with them. What's the problem? What's the problem? When they finish, they come down and tell you, what's the problem? And you can help them better. Yeah. But if you reel up, they reel up, what do you have? The right choice. When we look back at God's plan for man, Genesis reminds all of us, man sinned. The Bible tells us that the wages of sin is death. But look at it. The Lord sent his son here. God sent his son here. Not just to talk about sinning, but to pay the price for our sins. That's to show the seriousness of it. To pay the price of it. So that you and I can have forgiveness, redemption of sin, the absolute forgiveness of sins. We have peace now with God because our sins have been taken care of. That's how serious it is. Now, this is the God that we serve. If we serve that God, then we have to sit back and ask ourselves, what does he require of me? You know quite well, it's not your way that matters. It's God's way. So, what I think here, what I think there, what I think there, may not always be important. What God thinks. What God tells me to do, that's more important than anything else. And believers may tell you this. When you consider the price it paid, it shouldn't be hard for us to do the right thing. We have to make that full and complete surrender. I love to watch wrestling all the time. No, sometimes I don't like it, but I just watch it for so long. I like some parts of it. But there comes a time when a fighter surrenders because you put him in a lock, he can't get out, or something, or beat him so bad that he has to surrender. And I thought to myself, imagine sin had us to a point where we are gone. And yet the Bible tells us, God, and the King James Version uses the word commended. We could also use the word extended. His love towards us. In that, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So it came at a point where we were gone. Christ came and died for us. That's God's part for us. In this account that I read to you this morning, who is speaking to the children is an old man. When he was 40, he ran away because from the temple, from the king's palace and others, because of, trouble that confronted him. And in the land that he went to, he spent 40 years. So then he was 80 by the time he came back. And at this point in his life, he was coming to the close of his days, 120. Looking back at his own life, a decree came. All male children of the Hebrews should be killed. Yet he was born around that time, and God spared him. And he ended up right in the king's palace. So again, God's mercy was with him even from a tender age. Pharaoh's daughter had loved him. With all the wisdom that he gained in the land of Egypt and the privileged position he had, he made a decision when he came to that age, 40, that he is going to leave now because he recognized he is not an Egyptian, he's a Hebrew. And he cannot continue, as he said, the pleasure of sin, when out there he realized his people are suffering. So what I'd say to us is that a lot of us may go along with some things that are wrong for a while, but we can't continue forever. No, man. There comes a point where we say, that's it. Cut it off. Can you imagine growing up in a palace? I've never even been near a palace. But there are some people who are rich. And some people who are not really rich, but they have a lot of things. I grew up in a house where electricity does it, but not too much of other equipments in the house. And I made a good friend in high school. At his house, every electronic thing you could think they had. Nice house. Get me to sit at the table. His parents loved me so much. He teaching me to drive the car. My friend teaching me all kind of thing. I knew it was like fire. He adored that. Come on, girl. Stay right. You know, people just love you and treat you in ways that you're wondering. When we leave, they had to go to a little area, drop out, and walk through a truck to get to my house. His house was right there, a beautiful place. Every Friday, if you're I'll go by him so. And they're glad to talk with me, everybody. Get. I said, but look at life. How he get to like me so, I don't know. We met in high school, yes. His parents, you know, gravitated me. And everybody treated me so nice in the house. God opened favors for all of us. But the same way you can be rude like it too. But God has opened favor. That friend of mine, we remained friends for years until I go in one direction and he's in the next direction. I think he went to America or something. But in that family, like everybody was intelligent. Brother intelligent, sister intelligent, this one intelligent, like intelligence run right in the family. Well, he had it that way. But you know, there come a time when we had just fought because high school is over, I go on one way, he go on another way. In this case, what the Bible says, when Moses made his decisions, the Bible tells us, by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called a son of Pharaoh's daughter. You see how the Spirit really is. By faith, he said, I'm not an Egyptian, I'm not your daughter. Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Esteeming, the Bible says, the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt. So you had everything going for you as a prince. You say, you know, I'm in the wrong place. I can't literally be here. By faith, he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king. For he endured as seeing him who is invisible. because of God's revelation to the man, he made a choice. A choice that he could have been killed. That wasn't important. Obeying God was more important. So God worked in his heart as a young man. And he made some wrong decisions too. Ran the media. But what I'm showing to you is that 40 years of age, he made one decision. Then the next time in his life you see him again, 40 years later, makes another decision. He's in a strange land, marries and everything. Then he comes back, old man now. But yet, he can testify that he had to make a decision in his life to serve his God and reject sinfulness as he saw in the life he had first. And Moses realized that God was not going to use him to lead the people. Where he was going to lead the people from? Out of Egypt. He understood the sciences of Egypt. He understood nothing but Egypt. Also, the years ran out. The old Pharaoh died, Ramses in power. He knew who Moses was. But the man talking now to him is not a man who was in the palace like a prince. God sent him, and that God's name was I Am. To tell somebody I am sent. I will be what I will be. I am the creator, the God of this world. That's Jehovah God. And many things happened in the land to convince them he was sent by a great God. Finally, the people came from there. God worked in them and get them through the wilderness. Now, in the wilderness area, many complained about the food that they had in Egypt, and they brought them out here to suffer, and this is that. The Lord helped them. They made it. But those who complained, a lot of them died, and a whole new generation come. And the land that God promised them. Let's look at that land for a while. The land was rich in terms of all the fruits and vegetables and everything that they had there. But also, when they scoured the land, Joshua and Caleb brought back a good message. The others, about 9 of them, or 8 of them, they brought back a false message. And those with a false message, they were able to influence almost 250,000 people that they were right, and that Joshua and Caleb were wrong. Let me say this to you. Many times, when God's servant speaks to you, there's always sometimes a devil nearby who will act as though they know everything and make you believe the servant is wrong. Joshua and Caleb stood by what they said. They say, while the land gave prodigious yield, we can conquer this land. The report of the others were, the people are like giants, you cannot conquer the land. And having the people in fear. But all of these things had to work out. And then finally now, Moses speaking to the people. Before you go to that land, I want this from you. God's faithfulness. You are the tribe I selected, at least, and have you as my precious people. Many of these people who you are going to be among lived in a way that was not pleasing to God, and he's driving them out of the land. God himself is doing it, driving them out of the land. You're going to take over that land. Do not let your daughters marry their sons, and do not let your sons marry their daughters. Don't mix with them. Remain true to the God that brought you there. And the very thing that God said not to do is the very thing they did. Disobedience to God. And many were losing out. But Moses reminded them, your fathers who were there before you in the wilderness, they were unfaithful to God. But God has always been faithful to them. The faithfulness of God. And even today, there are many people who serve in God. And if you ask them, how it is with you and your God? You wonder because they have no experience with God at all. They may know the church, but they don't have nothing. They can't talk nothing about God. God has to do something for you. Not only for me, no, I'm a servant of God. Tell you what God has done. But God must do something for you. And Moses pleaded with the people at last. But the devil has a responsibility out here. You know what his responsibility is? To guide people wrong. To lead them in the wrong way. And there are many people today who are going the wrong way. Not because God didn't say what the right way is. They choose the way of Satan. And the only thing about that is you pay a price for it. We'll all pay a price for it. Nobody can make a joke out of God and get away with it. But for those of us who are faithful to God, the advice given is still one that we must heed. Be courageous. Be strong and courageous. I'll be with you as I was with Moses. That's an advice given to those who are willing to live for God. Be strong and courageous. I'll be with you as I've been with God. In coming to Monte Grand Baptist and worshiping, one preacher told me, I remember that was Norris Rand, Valley Baptist. Most people don't like to worship on the house. Now, I came here this is the church. My job is to come to pastor the church. You hear what the advice again? God don't like to worship. Most people don't like to worship on the house. I listen. The next one, my friends who just graduated at the College of the Nazarene out Marathas Way, he told me he was in a study with this professor and was told people weren't coming to worship at the house. I listened. Now remember, I was told to come to pastor this church. A pastor telling me, give me his opinion. An ex-friend of mine is giving me his opinion. You know what my approach was? My words to them were, the sea. Why you don't see all the banks? There are men who train to go to the sea. And they will go to some areas and fish and look for a certain type of fish. And they go there and find what they're looking for. And next man don't know it, he can't find it. So they have fish there for everybody. But you must know how to find it. So if God put me at the house, I'll stay at that. We'll look at you today, we're listening to me. But I was told that day. But more than those voices, I could still hear the Spirit of God say, be courageous, and I'll be with you. For all of us today, God expects us to be firm in serving Him, to be sincere and truth in serving Him. The children of Israel, what we saw, were deceitful. They drew near to God, or they drew near to God with their lips, but their hearts were far from Him. And as a result of that, they weren't blessed. The problem with so many today is like the children of Israel who we draw near to God, but with the lips. The heart is not right with God. What the Lord wants from us is our heart. And whatever choices we make, must make the choice that we give the Lord our heart. And He promises, and His promise could be relied upon. He promised to bless us. And believers, regardless of what others say, I believe what God says. I've seen it over the years. And I will tell anybody, if you're faithful to God, He will bless you. Time will tell, time will run on, but it doesn't matter. Time is in God's hand, but He'll bless you. And that everybody could see. One of my friends called the other day, she said, Everest. I said, yeah. He said, are you still in church? I said, yeah. You still preaching? I said, yeah. She was in America for years. We know him when we just get involved in church. He said, you're still holding on. It's not I holding on. It's the God that appointed me, keeping me on. That's how it is. You think I have strength to hold on? So no. But when God assigns you, He keeps you until you're ready, until the commission is over, to do His will. Faithfulness. Heart more than just lips. When we served here in the early days, Monte Grande could do nothing for me personally in terms of finance. No man. But I worked at Levers for 27 years. And the Lord allowed me to work here. And Levers gave us the finances we need to do a lot of things. He was one of the best paid firms on that side of those days. Out of which he represented us. But the Lord had to bless me somehow with finance for my children and wife while we were doing this work in the ministry. Today, the church can pay a check. But ask them how many years it took him to write a check. For those who know the history, you know, it take a lot of years. If we were sitting depending on a check from here, we'd be dead and gone. But God's mercy is such. Be courageous. I'll bless you. I would tell everybody, anybody, and everybody, the God that we serve is a great God.